What's up, man?
Hey, buddy, what's happening?
It is the Roy Cathey on the Hair Metal Rules podcast.
How are we this evening, my brother? Great to see you.
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I appreciate your patience getting this thing together. I've been really busy these past couple of months or this past year, so I appreciate your patience in getting me on the show. It's great to see you.
Of course, man. You're a busy fella. You are all over the place, but you know what? Being busy is a good thing.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have all the projects that I have going on right now. It's been this whole music journey for me has been a labor of love for many years. It's not for any type of real financial big payoffs or anything. This is all for the love of the music and the love of the art. And I feel like I was put here to do this, so I'm blessed to have as many outlets as I did.
Well, you know what, man? Keep on doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, you're exactly right. You were put on this earth to make people happy, make good music, entertain people, and there's not one thing wrong with that.
Well, I mean, I'm very, like I said, I'm very fortunate. Right back to the very start of my career, I had a family that supported me in this crazy music stuff, and my dad managed my very first band, Gibraltar, and toured with me and traveled with me up and down the East Coast. So, I've had a very fortunate run, but a lot of hard work in there, man. I've put in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles and have done tens of thousands of shows in my life, if not more. So
Well, what was
I've been
your
honing my craft.
there you go. Well, I think you've got it down pat by now, brother.
Right,
You got like you said, you got many miles under your belt. So
right, yeah. I'm not a newbie.
if you don't have it by now, man, I don't think you're gonna get it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Right, right.
So what's your newest project that you're working on now?
Well, right now I'm really super excited because the new release from the fifth is about to drop January 2025. It's been a long process getting this recorded. We got signed to RFK Media, Ron Keel's label. We got signed to his label about 2 years ago almost. And right about the time that the fifth got signed and we wanted to start working on the record, there was a big resurgence with the whole Cold Sweat band. And, M3 came about and
Right.
RFK Media ended up picking up Cold Sweat. So that turned out to be, something that added to the workload and putting the fifth project back a little bit. And I'm also involved with a band called Steel City, which is signed to
Right.
Frontiers Records. We were finishing up the recording of the second release, Reverence, and I had to get into the studio and track those vocals. So there were many things that kept me and the band finishing the fifth record. But we finally got it all recorded. We finally got all the songs written, and it's sounding absolutely incredible and something I'm really excited to be working with my Cold Sweat bass player Chris McClernand. He's also known from his time in Saigon Kick.
Right.
He's producing the new fifth record, and he has an amazing ear. And we got a chance to do a lot of the recording at Eric Bass, the bass player for Shinedown Studio down in Charleston, South Carolina, because that's where Chris is based out of. So he's got a
Right.
friendship with those guys. He's been involved with them on the last three recordings that Shinedown has done in the studio. So we got a chance to go down there and record. It sounds amazing, and I'm excited to be delivering it to RFK Media and dropping it in January.
Well, it's great seeing you guys at M3. I was out of all the bands there. I was thrilled to see you guys again because, like I said, I saw you probably 30 years ago. You know,
Right. Yeah.
at the Flaming Mug, and I've talked about Guy Unger before. You say Guy, right?
Yeah. Guy's a great guy.
Guy's a great guy. Well, Guy is the guy I went to see Cold Sweat with at the Flaming Mug back
Oh,
30 years
wow.
ago. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
like I said, we all
Guy's a phenomenal guitar player as well. He's very well respected here in the Fayetteville and surrounding areas, and he's a super cool cat. So that's
well, I remember back in high school, back in that time was the 89, 88, 89, uh, hair metal had blown up.
right.
And that was the pretty much the pinnacle to the getting towards the end, and everybody in high school that thought they could play an instrument got up a band.
Oh
But
yeah.
Guy was a whole lot different. Guy had
Uh-huh.
a guy a gentleman that lived with him that went to school with us. His name was Rush Gainey,
Hmm.
and he was the singer. And this guy could hit the notes like you could. Back then,
Right.
he sounded like a young Tony Harnell.
Oh wow.
He could get up there. And they had a band called Aces Wild.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't play instruments or anything, but I always drew flyers up for them for their
Right, right.
shows they would do around town. So it was always fun going to watch them practice. I wasn't. You couldn't get really close to the hair metal thing, unless a band just happened to come through town. But it was neat to have a group of guys that were really talented. They would listen to a song, and a couple of days later, they were playing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Guy started, like I say, playing guitar back when we were in high school, and I'm so proud of him and so glad that he's, still out there playing music.
Well, absolutely. And Guy is, in the Fayetteville area that I'm from and I was raised, during the 80s, every high school had a band.
Right.
Um, some of them had two bands. So it was really cool that, back in that era, it was really a thing. And Fayetteville, of course, had Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty, and that brought people in from all over the United States. So you had all these kids coming in from different places of the country, and it was really a melting pot. And there was a time that there was a thriving music scene here in the area, and all the high schools had bands, and there were backyard parties and keg parties, and it was a thing. It was a thing.
Well, it was neat that you actually had a small club like the Flaming Mug, and of course, the twin to it was the Switch in Raleigh.
Correct. Which I played as well many
Yes,
times with my band Gibraltar.
of course you did. Of course you
Yeah.
did. Do you remember when you walked in the door of the Flaming Mug? There was a wall to the right.
Hmm. Right.
I There were so many people that had signed that wall in the 80s.
Right.
I would love to know what happened to that sheetrock. I guarantee you, because it went to a country club, not
Yeah.
like, I guarantee you that wall was painted over, and the men's bathroom had so many signatures in the bathroom. I would just, I know it's geeky, but I would love to have been able to take that sheetrock off the wall and re-put it somewhere, because man, there was a lot
Yeah.
of
I
folks
mean,
that came through there.
people really don't realize, but the Flaming Mug was a major tour stop for all of those bands during the 80s. And everybody played there. I mean,
Right.
everybody. And they continued to play there until the venue sadly, closed up and changed owners and moved in a different direction. But I've been in there a couple of times. Now it's called the Cadillac Ranch and all that stuff,
Right.
and still left the stage up there, but they don't have any bands play. They'll do, a few things here and there, but nothing of any significance. But those people have no idea what went on in there.
Sure. Right.
And, I mean, from the earliest tours of Marilyn Manson and Godsmack and, my band, Cold Sweat played there opening for Sabotage. I mean, it
Right.
was like, it was a major tour stop. And, I'm very fortunate. I grew up on that stage, and, that was my childhood, playing those
That,
clubs.
that's a pretty good that's a pretty good childhood memory, buddy. Let me tell you.
I started when I was 15, so I
Wow.
was still in high school and I was playing the local bars. So, my dad worked really hard to keep me, to get the band booked on the weekend, so we didn't have to play shows during the week because I had to get up and go to school.
Right, right. Well, what was it like? I know when you were in Hollywood, there was an incarnation of Cold Sweat that was sweating bullets. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct. Yes.
I have seen some video of sweating bullets. I've even posted, some stuff on my IG page. But the Sunset Strip fascinates me, man. I think just all from a fan's point of view, being on the East Coast, all you really saw of the Sunset Strip was later on. You saw decline of Western civilization, and you actually saw passing out flyers and all this kind of stuff. But the whole 80s, I won't call it a culture, the whole
Hmm.
80s culture, a whole 80s movement back then was fascinating. And, I always in the back of my mind thought it was, cutthroat, we're gonna outdo you, we're gonna outdo you. But I've been fortunate enough to talk to quite a few guys from that era, and they said, it really wasn't that way at all. It was a lot like a brotherhood
Hmm.
because you had some out there that didn't want anybody to succeed except themselves. He's like, but the majority of the guys, they supported each other. They wanted each other to, get to the next level and get a recording contract. But what was it like playing the Sunset Strip?
Well, it was really kind of crazy because I was a kid from North Carolina. I had been touring the East Coast for the past like 9 years. So whenever I got the chance to go out to LA and I got to audition, work with Cold Sweat, uh, I'll never forget Mark Ferrari picking me up at the airport. Uh, and he was literally, and this is a true story. He picks me up at the airport, and but I was the guy that was coming into audition, and I was going to sleep on his floor. I paid
Right.
for my flight to get out there. First time I ever been on a plane, So I fly out there, and he picks me up, and he goes, "Hey, look, I know you just flew in. I know you're probably a little tired." He goes, "But look, I've got to meet some friends of mine. I've got this girl that I've got a date with that I need to meet her down at the whiskey. Do you mind?" And I'm like, what am I going to do? Say no?
Right.
And he picks me up at the Burbank airport, and we go immediately down into Hollywood, immediately onto the Sunset Strip, immediately into the whiskey, and it's packed, and there's just people everywhere, and you know, it was the whole '80s thing, right, all around me, and it was the Sunset Strip, and there were the flyers and the bands and the girls and the whole thing. So Mark takes me into the middle of the whiskey and goes, "Hey, I'll be right back. I got to go meet her. She's upstairs at the bar." And he leaves me in the middle of the whiskey.
Wow.
Some kid from North Carolina who was like a fish out of water. And
Yeah.
I was surrounded, by LA and the Hollywood scene. And it was a quick introduction to the whole thing. And it was very cool. I got to play the whiskey. I got to do the Roxy. I got to do the Troubadour. Um, you know, the first big show that we did in LA, our debut was at the Roxy right there on the Sunset Strip, and I have amazing memories. It's sad that it was like kind of towards the end of the whole
Sure.
era. I would
Right.
have loved to have gotten there, out there about, maybe 5 years sooner. And it would have been a whole different story. But at any rate, I got to experience it when it was still in full swing, so it was a very cool experience.
I was talking to the guitarist from XYZ earlier today, and
Pat,
no, Mark
Mark, okay,
Diglio.
okay, I got you, I got you.
Pat was the bass player, I believe. Yeah.
Okay,
But
okay.
anyway, I was talking to him, and he's got the same kind of story. You got. He's like, I was living in Connecticut, and this guy calls me out of the blue, and he said his name is Terry, which was the lead singer, and he said, I heard I got a hold of a cassette tape of you playing guitar. And he's like, well, I live in Connecticut. How on earth did you get? He's like, don't worry about how I got it. He's like, we want to fly you out here and listen to you play. Sort of like, it's weird, you're way up here, and then next thing you know, it's a culture shock. You're on the West Coast. You're in a military town in North Carolina, and next thing you know, you're standing in the middle of the Whiskey a Go Go, wondering, you know, did I make the right choice, or am I
Yeah,
going to regret this? But you know what? I'm glad you didn't regret it, because, like I say, the bands that you played in, you know, it's the kind of music I like.
gotcha. Yeah,
It's not big poison hair. It's good melodic hard rock,
right, right.
and
Yeah,
Cold Sweat. Like I said, we went to go see Sabotage that night, but Cold Sweat had came out not too not too before you guys played the Whiskey. So I had your cassette,
right.
and I told Guy, I said, you need to go listen to these guys, because if I would get a tape, I would give it to Guy. Guy got a tape, he would give it to me. That's how you
Right.
switch tapes. That's how you heard music back then.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like I say, we went down there to see Sabotage. I mean, it being the Chris Caffrey was an amazing guitarist in Sabotage. I was trying to think of who I was trying to say, but anyway, we went down there to see you guys, and seeing you guys on stage and actually listening to you guys live is just very energetic. And then so many years later, you guys walk out on the stage at M3, and I told my wife, I was like, I've been looking forward to this for a very, very long time. I was like, wait till you see what you're going to see and what you're going to hear. And I was, a lot of bands, Roy, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but a lot of bands from that era that come out and try to play music again, uh, they change what they did so much that their music doesn't even sound anything like what they did. And I understand, I'm not an artist. I understand if that's your bread and butter, you want to kind of transition with the times that the music's going to try to keep your name out there. I
Right.
get that. But the good thing about you guys is, you put out an album 30 some years ago, and you came back and you played that album, and you played it just like you did at the Flaming Mug, man. I just,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, you know, the Cold Sweat experience, if you were one of the the few people that saw us live, uh, you knew you were watching something special,
oh yeah,
because every band member was like top notch, and the
sure, yeah,
stage show with the energy was insane. You know, if the record would have came out a few years prior, it would have been a whole different story.
right,
But the biggest thing about that whole thing in Cold Sweat, there's something to be said about chemistry amongst musicians, and
right,
we always had that chemistry. And unfortunately, it ended badly. We lost the deal. There was a lot of animosity between the band and
sure,
Mark, and other band members. It was not good. We did the Swing Bullets thing to try and recapture it. By that time, the tide has changed, and it's
right,
done for that genre. We had a chance to do the Monsters of Rock cruise. I believe it was like in 2018 or something like that, and Mark just wasn't ready to do,
right,
because of the bad blood and the way the whole thing. When we got reapproached in 2020 and we got the chance to do it, we were offered the pre-cruise party and a set on the boat. So we set up a rehearsal in Miami, and to walk into a room and see people that you haven't seen in 27 years.
sure,
Dude, we plugged in and started, and it was like we just took the pause button off. It was still there. The chemistry was still there. We went through the first two songs like we always did, you know, the opener that goes into the second song. And at the end of the second song, we all stopped and we all just kind of looked at each other and we were like, holy fuck, you know. And if you caught that show at the Magic City Casino, the pre-cruise party, you really saw something once in a lifetime and magical, because it was our first show in almost 30 years, first time that we'd seen each other, first time we stepped out on stage. And dude, we just fucking killed it. And we've been killing it ever since. We've done about 4 shows since that. We don't get together and rehearse. We don't have that luxury. Everybody's scattered all over the United States. So at that M3 show, you saw a bunch of guys that are professionals, and we fly in the day before, and we will get in the hotel room before we're staying, literally one of the guys' rooms, and we will go through the set in the hotel room.
Wow.
Drummers on the pillow.
Right.
Guys are just strumming their guitar. Everybody's there. I kind of sing through the stuff falsetto, half voice, and and then we go out on stage, and it's go time, chemistry.
Well, you guys out there on stage looked like you were just out there having a good time. And you know what? When you're out there having a good time like that, I think you're that much more magical. You have that much more drive and passion when you're just out there having a good time. You know, hey, we're gonna play our whole album. You know, but I think what's so neat is the people that know who Cold Sweat is. You know, because you guys, like I said, came in towards the end of the whole shebang, and how many fans you do have that love, you know, the Breakout album.
What's great is it's a cult favorite.
Right. There you go.
And there's a lot of people that hold that record just like you in very high regard.
Oh yeah.
And if you saw us live, you were one of the lucky ones. But it was really funny because, you know, the whole M3 thing, there's always going to be the people who are like, who's Cold Sweat? You know, because we were really at the end of the whole thing. Nobody really knew who we were. They knew who Mark Ferrari was from Keel.
Right.
But still, you know, you read through the Facebook fan pages and stuff, and they're like, who's this Cold Sweat? You know, I don't know who they are. And there would always be people that would chime in and go, oh, you're about to find out.
That's right. You're getting ready to find out who they are. Exactly.
You're getting ready to find out. And you know, luckily we're a band that can deliver. And there's a lot of people that have said that we stole the show that day because
you did.
We had more people that didn't know who the hell we were than people that knew who we were.
Right.
But by the end of that set, everybody knew who Cold Sweat was, and everybody was going, holy shit, that's why they're playing M3. Because, you know, everybody's like, who are these guys? Why are they playing M3? After our set, they're like, that's why. That's why.
Well, M3 always kind of surprises you. You know, we like to go every year if we can. You know, that's, you know, it's not a cheap 2-day thing, but we try to go. No. But anyway, we always can't wait till they release who's going to be there.
Right.
You know, and you know, the one year, you know, Pretty Boy Floyd was there. I never got to see Pretty Boy Floyd. I'm a Pretty Boy Floyd fan. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the Leather Boys album. It's hard, bubblegum.
Yeah.
You know, lipstick metal. I liked it. I liked it back in high school, but
it's just guilty pleasure.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always fun to see who's going to be there. Like, you know, one year Leatherwolf was there. I've always been a huge Leatherwolf fan and never seen them before. Was it the original Leatherwolf? Well, no, it wasn't, but it was 1/3 of Leatherwolf. But they went out there and played, you know, what they played in the 80s. But M3 is a lot of fun, and you know, you guys being there was cool. I told my wife, was like, she's like, well, pick one person you want to go stand in line to see. I said, okay, I already picked it. I said, I'm gonna go up there and stand in line and see the guys from Cold Sweat again. So,
Yeah, yeah,
always a lot of fun. So
yeah,
there's some videos of you guys on YouTube playing some killer songs that,
yeah. We do.
that weren't.
We wrote a couple with Billy, and we tried to get a deal after we lost the MCA deal, and it like I said, the tide had changed and music taste had changed. You know, stuck like Chuck. But we did a
Like
couple of
Chuck, yeah.
shows with Billy, and it was a good little run, but it was a little too late, too soon, too late. But he's a great guy. He's based out of Colorado now, and he's got a southern rock, country rock kind of band going, and
Okay.
he's out there doing his thing. So I got nothing but love for Billy.
Well, what do you guys? What do you do in your spare time
I
when
don't
you're
have any
not?
spare. I don't
Okay.
have any.
Well, if you have a little bit of spare time, what do you do? Do you have a hobby? Do you have a guilty pleasure? Do you like to eat Reese's cups? Do you like to eat, Hershey's Kisses? I mean,
You know, I love.
what makes you relax and happy when you're not going all over the place?
Well, honestly, man, I've got a really good woman that that looks out for me and takes care of me. And
Yeah.
my whole life has been going out. I've either been playing shows in clubs, theaters, or arenas. I DJ'd at nightclubs, so I was out at a dance club or at a strip club DJing.
Right.
So my whole life has been out, going out in the public. Whenever I don't have anything going on, I'm a homebody. I
Yeah.
like to just relax. I like to just kind of decompress, as I like to say. One of my guilty pleasures is I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. So I love
Nice.
to, I like to sit on the couch, and luckily I've got a woman that will, she'll watch it with me and stuff.
Sure.
So, I just like spending time with her and like relaxing at the house and just decompressing because my life is so hectic and I go from
Sure.
project to project, and it's very stressful because it's like, you've got to learn a show, a whole set of
Right.
lyrics, a whole set of melodies, go either record it or perform the show live. And then after you're done with that, you turn that off and then you move on to the next one. And there's another group of lyrics and another group of melodies that you got to pound into your head to prepare for that next one. And it's been that rabbit hole the
Right.
whole time this past year and a half, 2 years. So now when I don't have anything going on, I'm really just like, you know, I'd love to go to the gym when I can. I
Mhm.
still try and get it in at least, 3, 4 times a week. But that's a great stress relief. But I've got to stay in shape because of what I do and how I sing, the kind of music
Sure.
that I sing. You're not going to sit on the couch and eat too many damn Reese's cups, and
No,
then
you're not. You're
and
right.
then go out and try and sing four on the floor. So,
Sure. I know,
unfortunately,
right? Exactly. Yeah.
so
Um,
unfortunately, I got to spend a certain amount of time in the gym. Because I am no spring chicken.
right,
I just
right.
have a good hairdresser and I know how to apply just for men. So
Hey, I know how to get the gray out. Yeah.
yeah, right.
I've
But
had my hair short for so long now. I'm just trying to let it grow out some, and I'm like, maybe I better rethink this because damn, I got some gray hair. And
well, I
you
tell you
see it
what, man.
really bad when it's longer.
My real job is I'm in sales in the HVAC business. So during the summer months in the South, it's hot as hell.
Oh
So
yeah,
I'm out in the heat, or I'm crawling under a house, or I'm up in an attic. I cuss my hair every day. I want to cut it, but it's like it's kind of part of the whole thing. So it's
sure.
like I got to keep it. So I'm thankful for it. And like I said, I've got a hairdresser that I've been going to that's lasted longer than my two marriages. So I stick with her, and
There you go.
she
I-
keeps me up.
You were talking about how hard is it to jump from this band to this band and learn lyrics and remember them? Is that a hard thing to do? Do you understand what I'm asking you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is. It's difficult. you've got to definitely study, and
Right.
I have my ways of going about it. I
Sure.
have all my lyrics printed out,
Hmm.
and whenever I'm working during the day and going from job to job, I'm listening to the set list. And when I come home, I'll listen to the songs and read the lyrics along with it to kind of visualize it in my head. And you study it like you're studying for an exam in college. It's
Okay.
just it's as simple as that. And one of the reasons that I feel like I've had the success that I have is people have been able to entrust me and know that I'm a professional and they can contact me to do something and I'll show up prepared.
Right.
And that's the thing about being a professional. I mean, I've put the work in, through the
Yeah.
years. There's a lot of guys, I don't smoke, I don't
Hmm.
drink. Uh, I was the guy that was always going to bed early while everybody else was partying up late. I always took care of my voice. I always went to the gym, so studying the lyrics, being prepared with that kind of stuff, it has always been something that I've prided myself on. And it takes work. So you just got to study it.
Well, you're a very disciplined person. Yeah, good for you.
Thank you, thank you. I try. I try.
Well, I mean,
I
if
should
your
have been
voice,
disciplined. I should have been
yeah.
disciplined as a lawyer or something. I'd probably be a lot richer.
Well, you know what? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. You have to kind of fall on the ground and skin your knees before you realize to pick your feet up too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Oh, I get you. I get you.
Um, I was going to say, so I've been obsessed with Instagram, and Instagram is all about algorithms, and you get to a certain point and Instagram is pretty much, it is what it is. So I've started getting on TikTok.
Yeah.
So I see this video of you and another fella in a pickup truck, and you had just gone to Redneck Barbecue. That was pretty good, man. I'm just
Look,
telling you.
let me tell you, that was me and Gary, the drummer. He lives in Smithfield, North Carolina, and there
Okay.
is a place called the Redneck Barbecue Lab.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And
Mhm.
have you ever ate there?
I have eaten there. Yes, sir.
It is absolutely amazing. And me and Gary had just flown in on a red eye flight, and there was a time change. We were just strung the fuck out,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
You know how you on some travels you get off a plane, there's a time loop, you
Oh,
partied too
sure.
much the night
Yeah.
before, and the fifth, and a lot of these promoters, they're going to book you on the red eye flight, and then you'll
Right.
have a layover, and you're just strung out. So basically, what that was is me and Gary went to go eat, and I was just punch drunk, tired, and that's just me being a complete goofball.
Well, it's hilarious, man, because I saw some clips of you. You're actually singing,
Mm,
and then I kept swiping. I was like, "What in the devil is this?" I said, "Nice," because I have eaten at this place. Well, I actually helped some friends of ours on Daddy D's barbecue. I don't know if you've ever
uh-huh.
heard of it. There's one in Fuquay and there's one in Benson. So
Oh, okay.
when
I'll have
when
to
I
check it out.
saw when I saw that, I'm like, that's Daddy D's rivalry right there. I said, I'll have to tell Roy if he's ever in Benson, just take the Benson exit off 95 coming from your way, and Daddy D's is on the right beside a
Well,
hamburger
oddly
joint,
enough,
char grill.
my son just moved to Benson.
Oh,
So
really?
I will be visiting Benson here shortly. So I will
Well,
definitely check out Daddy D's because I love some good barbecue. I'm a Southern boy, so I love that
oh
Southern
yeah.
cooking. Another
Well,
reason why I have
seriously,
to continue to go to the gym.
there you go. Exactly, exactly. But when you go through Benson and cross over 95, there's a Waffle House on the left.
Uh
There's a
huh.
little road that goes back this way, and they're right beside Char Grill. Was that right? Yeah,
Uh huh.
right beside the Char Grill. It's a standalone restaurant, Daddy D's. Go in there sometime and try out. I never knew you done AC work.
Yeah, well, I've known the family that owns the business, Nathan's Heating and Air. Uh,
Nathan's okay. Yeah, yeah.
I went to high school with the son, and he brought me into the business. And about the amount that I knew about HVAC was going to the thermostat and going hot, cold, up,
Cutting
down.
it on and off, up and down.
Yeah,
I hear you.
yeah. But I've been in it for a little over about 6 years now, and
Okay.
I've made it up to assistant sales manager. I know
Oh,
just
okay.
enough to be dangerous, but
Nice.
with any small business, I wear a lot of hats. I do something called load calculations on the
Okay.
computer. I go and do estimates. I meet the inspection department when we finish an install. I do a lot. I fill a lot of roles, but the biggest thing is got a steady gig in a great career with a lot of room to grow with in the sales industry, and those aren't cheap purchases.
Well, my man, I love you. You're a good
Love you
fella.
too, buddy.
And it was a joy finally meeting you at the Rockin' Pod, and Erica getting to
Absolutely.
meet you, and just talking to you back and forth, comments here and there. You're a good man, and I will say I'm proud of you. I've been listening to your music for a long time, and you're still doing it. And it's whatever you put out. The new Cold Sweat album sounds like it could have come straight from 1988. You guys don't
Yeah.
sound any different.
Well, wait till you hear the new single that we're about to drop. They're going to reissue the last Unburied Alive on vinyl, and
Oh
we're
wow,
going to add a new song from Cold Sweat. A new song from Cold
nice.
Sweat. Can we say that again? A
A new
new
song from
song
Cold Sweat.
from Cold Sweat.
Hey, that's
And
great.
it's not something that was pulled out of the archives from
Right.
some years ago, 30 years ago. No, we wrote a new song, and everybody's going to be blown away because it's got super great energy. It's in that hard rock vein of Tesla, which is where we were kind of going. That's where we wanted to go the next record. Yeah, so you got that to look forward to next year. You got a new fifth record to look forward to next year. And I really appreciate your support through the years,
Oh
and,
yeah,
and you and your wife are, like I said, two of my favorite people that I've met in my travels, and I'm
appreciate
always
that.
here to support you, and I appreciate your support. So anytime you need me on the show or anything, okay?
Well, my show is not a structured thing. I just like to get people on here and just shoot the shit, talk about the 80s, because that's what my podcast is all about. Just the whole era of the 80s. It's funny. I talked to Jason McMaster last week from Dangerous Toys, and we just started talking when he popped up on the screen, and he's like, "So is this how you begin your podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Shit, man, I love this. No introductions. You know who I am or you don't know who I am. Let's get down to it." I was like, "Hey, I don't have no structure on my podcast. I just like talking to people, man."
It's really funny that you mentioned Jason because Cold Sweat played the Monsters on the Mountain Festival recently, and Dangerous Toys was on the bill. And I got a chance passing him backstage to give him some respect. I said, "Hey man, I'm Roy Sweat. It's really nice to meet you. I've always really thought that you're a great singer and love your music." And he said, "Oh, thank you so much." He called the Cold Sweat set, and dude, he messaged me on Facebook out of the blue. We weren't even friends on
Right.
Facebook. He messaged me out of the blue on Facebook and said, "Hey man, I just want to let you know you have an incredible voice. I love your tone. Uh, really enjoyed watching your set. All the best." And I was just blown away
Yeah,
that
and
he
I know,
sent me
right?
that message. And we're now friends on Facebook. And Jason is a great guy, class act. And, what can you say? Whenever you got somebody that'll hit you up, just to give
Oh
you some
yeah.
prompts, is very cool. So,
Well, man, enjoy your Friday evening. Go spend time with the missus. Don't drink no more Red Bulls tonight because it's
well,
almost 10 minutes
I
to
think I
8.
drank that one for you. I wanted to be top of my game for your
I
interview.
hear
So
you. Well, I
I'm going to
appreciate
be
that.
jacked up till midnight tonight just because of your ass. But I'm getting ready to go. I'm getting ready to go watch some wrestling right now. So
Go
it's
watch
all
you some
good.
wrestling. Exactly. Me and my papa used to watch wrestling on Saturdays. That was back when you had the Von Erichs,
Oh yeah.
and you had British the Buddhist the Barber beefcake.
Oh, yeah, dude,
And
look,
then we
I
got
am
into the,
old
huh?
school. I am an old school wrestling
Yeah,
guy. I can do a podcast and talk about it. I am way too well versed on that stuff. So if
it's
you ever want
awesome.
to talk that stuff, I'm your guy.
Well, maybe we'll do a rock and wrestling podcast one day. How's that?
Sounds good, my man. It was great
But
talking with you
take
tonight.
care, brother. I love you. God
Love
bless
you
you,
too,
and
bud.
you take care of yourself. All right.
All right, give my best to the missus.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
See you later, brother.
All right, brother.